Beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, it's late here in Madrid, but I want to give you guys my thoughts on the match against Atleti because we made it to the final, but this is just very, very unconvincing football, and there are some very glaring weaknesses in our play that we need to discuss. Okay, before we start, just one thing I want to mention. I have people coming to the house tomorrow who are going to help me set up to do watch-alongs. I don't know if I'll have it set up in time for the final, but I think it'll be a really fun thing to do for away matches. Obviously, I attend all the home ones, but I think it would be fun on some of the away matches to do watch-alongs. I'm typically a pretty mellow person, but if you want to hear me cuss in Spanish, you might want to watch some of the watch-alongs, but I'll keep you guys posted on that if I get it set up. Okay, let's talk about the match, and we are in the final against Barça on Sunday. But this is terribly unconvincing, and I am incredibly anxious about that match because I'm not convinced with what I see. In terms of the lineup, look, this was the same lineup that we saw against Betis. There was some risk that Rudiger wouldn't be able to play because he had trained separately the prior yesterday. He had trained separately from the rest of the squad, so there were some rumors that he wouldn't make it in time, but Rudiger did manage to play most of the match, thank God. Now, this was a 4-3-3, exactly like with Betis, where we had, the center, Asensio and Rudiger as center backs, Carreras on the left, Fede as right back. It was a 4-3-3. In the middle of the pitch, we had Chouamavinga and Jude a little bit further forward as the number 10. And then up front, of course, Vini and Rodrigo and Gonzalo as the number 9. So no major surprise there, but good to see that Rudiger managed to make it. Now, in terms of the match itself, look, it couldn't have started any better. It could not have started any better. You have in the first minute, golazo by Fede. This was an absolutely nuclear missile. The amount of power that he puts in those shots with his right foot is extraordinary. It reminded me a lot of Roberto Carlos, actually. You don't want to be on the wall when one of these balls is coming at you. And speaking of wall, I have to say that the wall was not very well placed. I think Atleti made a mistake in terms of the placement of the wall because they shouldn't have allowed that gap for the ball to go through. But in any case, the execution and the shot was absolutely outstanding. Now, unfortunately, and I've said this so many times this year, and I'm getting tired of saying it, after we score a goal, we have a tendency to lose intensity, lose energy, and allow the other team back into the match. We don't grab matches by the scruff. We don't maintain the same level of aggressiveness. I don't know what it is, but this is a recurring theme this year, and it's really, really irritating. Okay, after the goal, obviously, Atleti is pushing forward. But, one thing that I was thinking, and I was very disappointed about this, the fact that we scored first typically plays into our strength because Atletico de Madrid is a team that loves to defend and play the counter, right? And they kind of give you the ball, and that's what they like to do. But the fact that we scored first plays into our hands because now Atleti has to push up and we can play the counter. And we are a very good counterattacking team because of the characteristics of the players we have. So in theory and on paper, you would say, well, Real Madrid scores in the first minute. This is fantastic. This is going to play into our strength. It's going to force Atleti to push their lines up, and we're going to be able to go on the counter, and we're very dangerous on the counter. But it didn't really feel that way. It didn't really feel that way. Okay, as the minutes went by, Atleti just kind of got more and more into the match and created chances. Okay, in terms of other comments that I made here, we were, really struggling to get the ball out of the back during the entirety of this match. It forced Courtois to go long most of the time, which was, and most of those ended up back with Atleti de Madrid. So we would lose possession very quickly because we were having so much trouble getting the ball out of the back. Courtois had to go long, and almost every single one of those balls ended up again with an Atletico de Madrid possession. Vini, I thought, did a good job in the first half of backtracking and helping out defensively. That's something that I noted. He did less of it in the second half. Jude, I thought, was quite active in the first half, although he sort of fizzled out in the second half. Fede was absolutely excellent in all facets of play. I thought he defended incredibly well, but he ran up the wing and tried to sort of participate in the attack as much as he could. I think Fede was probably our sort of man of the match. Gonzalo did a reasonable job sort of backtracking to the middle of the pitch and help try to defend and press the ball. But it was just very, very, very frustrating because the game was not going the way that you would expect normally, and we were just losing the ball so quickly. In the 26th minute. By the way, in the 27th minute, there was a play by Rodrigo. There was a very good play on the right, but his decision making was criminal. Okay, he cuts the defender. And he shoots instead of passing to Vini, who was completely alone right in the middle of the box. This is very, very frustrating. This is like terrible decision making, because before you take that shot, you need to lift your head and make sure that you don't have better options. Rodrigo didn't do that. He sort of shot and then only looked up afterwards and saw Vini right there. So very, very disappointing. 1 minute after that, Vini had an open header, and I don't know how on earth he headed it over the crossbar. I can't remember the last time Vini has scored a goal with his head, but very, very frustrating. In the 33rd minute, we had back-to-back saves by Courtois, who, as the match went on, became increasingly important. One of the saves was from a shot, and then immediately after that, a really good reflex save after a header from Sorloth. But we were defending far too deep. This is something that my notes are plagued with this. I kept repeating, we're defending far too deep. That started in the first half and continued throughout the entire match. Like I say, struggling to get the ball out of the back. Rodrigo had a kind of quiet first half, although he kind of grew into the game in the second half. He certainly ran a lot and tried a lot, but didn't participate too much in the first half. Now, the last minutes of the first half, I thought we were just playing with fire. I mean, we had committed, we'd given Atleti the ball, and we were defending so deep, and it was just Atleti was creating chance after chance after chance, and whenever we managed to recover the ball, it just wouldn't last. I noticed that there was a lot of distance between the forwards sometimes and the midfielders and the defenders, and so the forwards felt very isolated to me sometimes, and that caused us to lose the ball a lot, because we'd have to make a long pass to one of them, which is obviously a lot harder to do than kind of support short. So I thought we were losing the ball a lot. Camavinga in the first half, I thought, was taking too many risks with the ball at the edge of the box. There are some parts of the pitch where you do not mess around. And Camavinga, he didn't. In the second half, he improved a lot. I think he defended a lot better in the second half. But in the first half, I think he took far too many risks with the ball at the edge of our own of our own box. Okay, Courtois, like I say, was excellent, and unfortunately, we had to go long almost every time. Gonzalo did do a good job of kind of heading the ball. Courtois would go long. He would sort of head it in the direction of one of our players to try to keep possession. He did that on a couple of occasions quite effectively. But overall, we were just losing the ball far too quickly. And this was just very frustrating. There was no continuity in our play. Sometimes our lines were too far apart. So it was a little bit frustrating. In terms of the first half, I think Fede, Jude, and Courtois were probably our best players in the first half. I think probably in the entirety of the match. But after the goal, we were just too complacent, losing balls too quickly. We were letting Atleti come. We were defending far too deep. They were attacking on the right. Most of the attacks came on their right, our left. But they were just coming at us sort of over and over. Very, very frustrating. Now, okay, the second half started very much the way the first half ended, which is just Atleti in possession, attacking us continuously, Courtois saving us time and time again. It was just very, very, very frustrating. Like I say, really struggling to get the ball out of the back, and Atleti just constantly pushing forward. Very, very frustrating. Now, when you least expected it, and when we looked, most vulnerable, all of a sudden the 2-0. So in the 54th minute, this is a really good pass by Fede to Rodrigo, who uses his speed to get behind the defender and finished absolutely wonderfully. So at 2-0, you think, okay, good. We're in a better place now. But of course, our joy and our tranquility lasted 3 minutes. Exactly 3 minutes. 3 minutes later, we had the goal from Sorloth. This was a header. He's a very good player. He scored a ton of goals last season and the season before. He's a very good number 9. I actually rate him quite highly. In the 68th minute, Rudiger and Asensio came out, and Mendy and Fran came in. It is incredible to me the injury situation in this squad, especially in the defensive line, is alarming. It is absolutely alarming. Rudiger and Asensio both came out, which means None of our natural center backs were available. We had to play Carreras and Tchouaméni as center backs from that point on. And like I say, Mendy in front came in. It's unbelievable that you have to finish a semifinal of a Super Cup with Tchouaméni and Carreras as center backs. It's something very, very worrisome is going on in the physical preparation of this squad, because the injuries are just, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. A lot of them are muscular, and that has to do with preparation and minute allocations. So something, very worrisome is going on there. Okay, in the 70th minute, we finally had a sort of decent spell of possession, so it felt like maybe we could try to control the match, but it didn't last very long. It only lasted a few minutes. In the 79th minute, Vini came off and Arda Güler came in. Now, I do understand the logic of this change, because Vini was tired, already on a yellow, and, well, he got the yellow as he was coming off the pitch. It's funny, Vini and Simeone were talking smack all night, and apparently Simeone was screaming to Vini, "Florentino's going to get rid of you. Mark my words. Florentino's going to get rid of you." And of course, that pissed Vini off. So they started going at it, and they both ended up with yellow cards. But the other reason that he brought Arda in and took Vini off was for possession. I mean, clearly at this point, we wanted to kill the clock. Arda's a very good possession player, so I think that change made a lot of sense to me. But in terms of holding onto the ball, it didn't really translate into that, I'm afraid. Vini and Simeone were talking smack, like I said. Okay, 83rd minute, Atleti still creating lots of chances. And then in the last minutes of the match, once again, we're praying for the final whistle. I don't know how many times this season I've had to say this. We finish every match praying for the final whistle. This is not Real Madrid football. This is not who we are. It's incredibly frustrating. Okay, Fede, I thought, had an outstanding night. In the 86th minute, Mastantuono and Ceballos came in. Camavinga and Rodrigo came out. All the players looked extremely tired. Now, not just ours, but the Atleti players as well. And I think that the heat really kind of affected them, because in the Gulf, I've lived in the Gulf. I lived in Abu Dhabi for 3 years, and, it gets very humid at night. And so it's, obviously it's harder to play with high levels of humidity. So fatigue was a major factor, I think, for both teams during the course of the match. Okay, they added 7 minutes, which felt, a little bit long to me. They felt eternal, to be honest. And then in the 93rd minute, there was an incredible situation, a 3v2, where we could have, this was an ideal situation, a 3v2 in our favor, and Gonzalo made just a terrible pass and just literally passed it to the Atleti defender. But this was fatigue. This is clearly fatigue. When players start to make, aren't able to make very simple passes, they're tired. It's fatigue. You can't execute the simple things. I can't explain otherwise why Gonzalo would make such a poor pass in that situation. And then finally, in the 95th minute, Julian Alvarez almost scored. He missed just narrowly. But again, we finished the match against the ropes, praying for the final whistle. But again, this is just not convincing football. There's something is missing. We lose the balls too quickly. We struggle too much to get the ball out of the back. We have a very hard time, playing compact football. The ball doesn't last at our feet, and then we take quite a long time to recover it. We defended far, far, far too deep. It's just, the ball, you have to start pressing the ball in the middle of the pitch. You can't just defend that deep, because you're asking for trouble when you do. But we did from the vast majority of the match. We're defending far too deep in our own box. So I think this was, Courtois, I think, sort of saved us on a number of occasions, but I am not convinced by this play. This is just not convincing. And going into the final, look, Barça is playing a lot better football. I know they destroyed Atleti de Bilbao. And if you guys remember, when we beat Atleti de Bilbao, and I made a video about the match, I said, Atleti de Bilbao was awful. It wasn't that we were excellent, it's that they were awful. And they proved again last night that, this Atleti de Bilbao is not very good. And Barça absolutely destroyed them. But in terms of general play, Barça plays much more systematic football. They play much better collective football. They're much more compact. Their lines are closer together. They play with a lot more automatism, a lot more reflexive play. Everything feels natural there. They can play the wing and the counter, but they can play possession as a block. Barça is playing better. They're not as good as they were last year, but they are playing better football than we are. And so going into the final, we have to. I'm worried because if we defend as deep as we did against Atleti, and we do that with Barça, it's going to be a very long night. So I'm very, very worried about it. I thought this was a victory that really was a function of just individual skill and isolated plays. For the most part, Atleti, outplayed us and should have scored, and we're the better side. So we were lucky to get through, and we're in the final. But if we want to win that final, things have to change radically, and there's just no continuity in our progress, right? We play the Betis match, and the first 25 minutes were great. Then we had a kind of crappy patch, but then we played well again. And I had hope that things were kind of coming together. But then you see a match like this, and you think, no, we're back to the same problems. We're back to the same problems. So this was a victory, and I'm happy that we won. Sunday's going to be very exciting, but I am very anxious and very apprehensive because the quality of football that we're playing, this is not Real Madrid standards. We're playing like a small team. We're not playing like Real Madrid. We don't dominate matches. We don't grab matches by the scruff. When we score a goal, we tend to get tentative and let the other team back into the match. We don't finish matches. We don't dominate matches. We don't control matches. We don't because we lose the ball too quickly. Our offensive transition is sloppy. The distance between the forwards and the players bringing the ball out from the back was just way too wide. So everything ended up in a long ball, and we ended up losing the ball and giving it back to Atleti. There are so many dysfunctions in the way that we play. So I'm very happy with the victory, but very, very concerned about Sunday. But anyway, I wanted to give you guys my thoughts. I think the best players in my view were Courtois, Fede. I think Jude, in the first half especially, although he fizzled out in the second, Rodrigo was kind of off, but I think had a better second half. Vini, probably a little bit better in the first half. I think he was kind of running out of gas later on. But, Camavinga and Tchouaméni were sort of okay. But it's kind of the collective that worries me, is that it doesn't feel like our collective play is cohesive at all. So I think Fede and Courtois sort of saved the evening for us. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Again, if I manage to get everything set up to do a watch along for the final, I'll let you guys know. That could be a lot of fun. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for watching, you guys. I love you all. And as always and forever, a la Madrid.